Hi, in this video, we're going to learn how to create Pay application using the new tool that is Blueprint. In this video, we're going to learn step by step how to create a blueprint and upload it and create a Play application. Just to start, you have to go to pega.com/blueprint/dashboard, log in with your account. You'll be able to see this dashboard over here. Then we're going to click on create blueprint, and here you will have kind of options for templates for these kind of applications. I'm going to select banking. For this example, we're going to click on next. Then we have to select like a sub industry. For this one, I will click on retail banking, and the department will be onboarding new customers. We click on next, and here we're going to have the application purpose, and here we're going to select the option know your customer, that is KYC. Here we'll give you like a functional description about what this application will do. Then we select the English, the language, and then the location. We click on next. Then Pega Blueprint will start working, and we'll start creating your application template. We'll see in a minute. Let's give it a minute to think. This tool very cool because it's allow you to create an entire application that you can customize later on. You don't necessarily have to create all the stages and all the process for the application. Blueprint will do it for you in base of the input that we see previously, right? There we go. Then we're going to select the case types that we want to have on this application. I'm working in a banking industry, and almost all of these cases that we use it and a day-to-day basis. So we're going to click on next to generate these case types. In here, you will be able to find the case type already created. We have different stages where the application will, well, the flow will be traveling. And here we have leader assignments of process in which is divided per stages. Here we're going to select global KYC customer, and here you will be able to find like an e-screening case, the assets e-screening results, create adverse media case, all the onboarding investigation for a customer, right? Then we're going to have the onboarding for related party. Sorry, this is for all the stakeholders involved in the case. For example, if you have like um, legal representative, stakeholders, all that information will be created in the onboarding case. So now that we have all the workflow, we're going to select KYC, and we're going to click on next. Then we're going to find the data object for the case. We'll just use this one because it's the most basic one that we're going to use for onboard new customers. So we're going to click on next. Then here we can define the personas that will work on the case. For example, we have KYC analyst, operation manager, credit analyst manager, all the people involved during the process will be able to define it here. Click, you will be able to, here we'll be able to click on generate more if you, in the case that you need more personas added to this case, and the AI will start working. or you can click on and add persona and add it manually, right? We're going to click on next, and then we will have our blueprint already created. I will give you the description. It will give you the workflows. In this case, is the customer due diligence, identify the diligence scope. Here we'll have this green icons means that we require information for the customer. Um, these are some process that we will find in the first stage that will be identify due diligence. Then the blueprint created a second stage that is perform due diligence. Here is more like a background screening for our customer to give it the onboarding, assess a risk, evaluate tax, regulatory validations from side of the bank, and then we have the result, right? When we just finish the case, and it will add different steps that we will going to review on the Plague application. So now we're going to review the data model that was created. Here we have all the properties, the business rules, the global QYC customer case type, the related party, the request information, RFI. So all these are child cases from the global KYC. So right now we're going to download the blueprint and upload it in Pega. So we'll click on download. Here we'll be able to have our file that is that blueprint, and then we're going to go to our environment, and we're going to create a new application, and you have to click the option build from a blueprint. We click that option, and then we're going to upload it. There we go. The application name will be Know Your Customer. You can rename it as your convenience. Here you will be able to find the blueprint details, the case types, data objects, embedded objects, personas that we define in the blueprint process, and the sample data that this case will have. So we're going to click on Build Now. Here is loading, is creating your application. It will take a while because you have to create the case types, the data model, the object, all that stuff in order to leave the application just up and running in order to start working. This is very cool because you don't need, you can test it, and you will find a lot of features that it will be exactly what you need on your requirements or the business requirements, right? Because sometimes we work with some institutions that require, for example, an entire flow for personal loan, etc. So with Blueprint, we'll be able to like work with all the parties involved and start giving the Blueprint application the information that the inputs that they require in order to build a case from scratch. And then with the case that Blueprint create, we can work on that, we can test it, we can run some cases to see how it works, and as well we can modify and customize as the convenience of your institution or of your work or of your requirements. So that is a pretty cool uh, feature. Right now we're going to pause the video and just let this finish. It took around like 20 minutes for the case types and that object that I have to create. If you notice here, is create 13 case type, 17 data object, and 14 personas, three channels that are the portals where you can be able to um, open in the application. So basically it was a while. So we're going to switch to Dev Studio to check out this new application. So it's supposed to have in a branch. We're going to check out the definition just to make sure that we have the correct branch. Jesus, I don't know what happened. Let me refresh it real quick. Hmm. It doesn't seems that I have the branch already. Let me just try to add it. Oh, there it is. To the application definition. We're going to save it. Which is not part of the application rule set. So let me check out the application just. Oh, there it is. I was in the wrong application for the reason I was not able to add the branch and see the branch in the application definition. So I switch it, and now if we go to the branch development preference, yeah, we have the BP-1 that was the blueprint create. So here, just to explain a little bit about the App Studio environment, we use it a lot in order to work with views, with data objects, because if you click on data, it's just a better way to see how the data objects are related within your application. And instead of Dev Studio, you only have the data types and you will be able to see the relationship between them. Here we have this cool thing that is the data model viewer. And if we have some relationship that we're going to work later on in a different video when we are looking for data objects, we'll be able to see the relationship between all these data objects that we have here, the case types, and so on. So basically, this is the best way to working with data objects and views in the App Studio. If we click on case type, we'll be able to preview our environment and our case type. As you notice, we're going to mainly working in global KYC customer, KYC customer, sorry. And later on, we're going to start like creating and working with the different cases within the application, the ones that we create. So if we click on preview on App Studio, we'll be able to see the portal, the default portal for Pega Constellation, and we'll be able to create a case type. Later on, we will be able to work on the branding and all the application itself, right? The theme for the colors. So if we click on create and we click on global KYC customer, oh, child case is the class. The child case work object is not specified. I think that we have to work on that. Let me check out this one. I believe that the global KYC created as a child case, and we're going to fix that later because we're going to work on the global KYC as a main case. So here we'll be able to see what Blueprint has created. We have some basic information, for example, customer name, customer ID, customer type, etc. In order to see, for example, we can fill out this information just to give you the full view and discover, because I don't know what type of use Blueprint has created. But here you will be able to see of all the different forms that Blueprint creates, the products, related parties, etc. So we're going to close this and we're going to check out the case types. In order to do that, we click on the where it says case type, and we're going to click on global KYC customer. That is the one that we're going to work right now. Here we'll be able to the blueprint has created our first well, all the stages. We're going to review the first stage, that is the investigation. Here he let me open up. He created a e-screening case, that is a child case, and as well the results for this child case. We set notification. We're going to open up this in Dev Studio just to get more of the background of the rules. We're going to close that. We're going to click on case type. And this is what I mentioned before. When you click on data type, you will be able to see the data designer. We'll only be able to see the data object itself without any relationships between them. Just to have the big pictures is always good to work on at the studio when you're working with data and with views. And if you have to work something more complex, you can switch to Dev Studio. But my recommendation is just stick with App Studio. Is the best way to work on the best easy way, low code, without customization, because this new approach for Constellation is built for you, not customized so much as the previous version like CLM or Pega 24 and all the previous versions. So in this case, what Constellation is encourage us to do is work with data, and all the background processing will be work in the data layer. And when you go to the views, you'll be able to see all the for example, the transformation. If you need to transform, for example, an ID or phone number, all will happen on the background on the data objects, and you'll be able to see in this course how to manage all these requirements and all these and data modeling from the background. Because here's a new cool thing is that the action set will be eradicated in Constellation. Now we work with, as I mentioned before, on the data layer, as all the pre-processing on all the calculation will be able to do it with declared expressions and so on. So here we have our case study. We'll reviewing the global KYC customer. Here, as I mentioned before, we create the first process. If we open the process, I believe that the environment is kind of slow today. You will be able to see what the blueprint created. Here, he's going to start to create an ID screening case. This case, he will create it separately. It's not a child case. And it seems that doesn't configure what type of case I will create. So I believe for that reason, it's giving us the error at the beginning. I'm going to modify it just real quick. I'm going to click on wrap off, and here we're going to select e-screening as a case, and here we're going to select the create adverse media case. I believe that adverse media, there it goes. We're going to save it, and we're going to went back to App Studio to see if we have the same error before at the time that we're trying to create a KYC case. I'm going to click on KYC customer, and now we're not able to get that error. If you see, it creates the e-screening case and will giving us the first screen without any inconvenience. So Blueprint doesn't configure, as we see, all the rules. So we have to manually review it in order to have the best result possible. We don't have any inconvenience at the time to create cases. So here, this is the screening results. This is a section. All the views right now we on this new version of Pega, they eradicate the sections. We work on views, and this is related with the data. As explained before, we can have different views in the data layer that we can reuse it in any of the case type in any applications within your organization, and that will give you leverage at the time to reuse all the assets possible for your case types. So here, this is an example what the blueprint creates. Then it go to the second stage. There is the due diligence. Here, I believe that this is on data transform. Yeah, but it's not configured at all. We have to put the logic here and select which data transform. I believe that just let's check it out if this. Oh no, yeah. Yeah, you have to be creative in order to work on the data. So yeah, so as we mentioned, like blueprint, it will give you like the structure that we will working on, and this will help us a lot in order to have a map where we start creating our um, process all the data that we need to get from the customer at the beginning. For example, here this is very useful because the e-screening case, if we can, let me pull it out real quick. What it does is that we configure all the possible matches because since we're working in application for a banking institution, sometimes we have records of customer within our database, so we'll be able to pull out that information with the customer ID, customer first and last name, has some coincidence, and based on that select which is the customer that we're working on at the time. So we can manage all this here. As I mentioned, we able to mold or modify as much as we want all this process, but this helped us a lot at the time to start the application when we are creating and we're designing um, the data object, the data models, the flow, all the process for the case. Blueprints give us like a great advantage for have all the case types and application created in order that you we can start working in the detail, right? Those that are transformed that hasn't been created to identify what is the data that we need to put here and what is the customization that needs to be done, what are the business validation that we have to run in order to identify that is the customer has any kind of risk involved, especially when we're working in banking. It's very important to pull that record before offer any product to the customer because that helps the operator, the user, uh, a lot. They help to save a lot of time at the time to the screening the possible candidate for a product. So here we have all these case type, all the information, all the data types that we're going to start working in the next video just to show you how to create views because that is like the new, for example, let me check out something real quick. We're going to go back to App Studio and we're going to select on case types. Um, it's very important to know that what investigation is in log version? What? Why? Why is log? Let me check it out. This rule set to see if this is log indeed. Yeah, it take a while to load. I don't know why. It could be my internet. You could leave any questions in the comments. I will be more than glad to answer. If you need further explanation about it, we can create a video. I'm here to help you in order to navigate through this. So let's see why we're not able to pull out this process, this view. We're going to screen and results. Know your branch. Let me see if it's locked. No, it's not locked at all, so I don't know why it doesn't let me. Yes, it's unlocked. I don't know why it doesn't allow me to unlock that view. Let me see. It's supposed to be investigation flow. Global KYC customer. Yeah, I believe that is locked. I don't know why. Oh, maybe when I open it, probably I lock actions. There we go. Yeah, I will discard it. It's very important that you manage the branch developer preference because when you're working in App Studio, yeah, believe it or not, it create a lot of rules in the background. For example, when you open a view, it saves automatically. And if you don't have this branch development on, sometimes it will throw an error, or it will the version of the view that you're working on, it will be stored in a different branch or in a rule set that is open. So in order to avoid that, I will always recommend to work on branch development on and select the branch that you work on for each application, right? You cannot use the same branch. For example, if I in a different application that is not your customer, uh, I may have troubles and errors at the time to create a rule. So now that we unlock the flow, we're going to App Studio to review the view. Oh man, I'm already unlocked it. Let me refresh real quick. There we go. To log in. So we'll be able to configure the fields and the embedded sections and the layout on here and not on the sections that as we are used to do on the previous version of Pega. This is because it's more easy to just come here, add a field that you have on the data model. You'll be able to see all the data field that we can use. Let me check it out real quick. Right now, we are not able to see it organized because we haven't, as explained before, create the relationships on the data objects. So we're going to work that on the next video. Right now, I will show you all the configuration that you can make here. You can select the template. We only have two options. That is the default form and the hierarchical. So we're going to go with the default. We can select the name, the columns, how do you want the columns layout, and the instructions here. These ones are um, fields that we can modify. We can put it a custom label. We can add placeholders, review all the actions that we have. Um, On the field, we'll be able to manage here. You only have to click on the gear next to the field that you want to configure, and that will be it. As well, we will be able to add views. As I explained before, all these views are on the data level. So, for example, we'll be able to select details and add different views, as you can see here, embedded. It is easier than the version before that you have to play out with the layouts, if it's a stack, if it's inline. Here, Pega do it for you. Always try to render the section the best it can be done. Then we have the conditions. Here we'll be able to manage the business conditions, validation. For example, you need to, all these fields are required, and you don't want the user continue on the case until these fields are completed. We'll be able to manage here in these validation conditions. Here you can create it, or you can call another when condition, or I believe that you can call a when decision table. Um, yeah, and you'll be able to see it here. Then we'll be able to manage as well the pre and sorry, pre and post processing. We'll be able to put the data transform as well with the post processing. And that pretty much it. Later on, we're going to start working in this case in order to have real data, working in data model. One of the first steps that recommends Pega is work on the direct captures object. That is basically design the case type. This one already have it thanks to Blueprint. Then the next step will be work on the data model. This is very important because, as I mentioned before, we'll be able to pull out information. Um, if we have well structured or data model, we'll be able to reuse much asset as possible within all the case types without specializing, without creating specialization or um, circumstance rule. No, we're going to work in similar to the objected um, object oriented programming that is in the most common programming languages. So based on the good data model, we're going to start working on the views, start working on the all the information that will present to our user within the case type and the logic behind that, right? Because here, for example, if I just select a data, let me go with accounts. I just need a field to show you here. You can define all the, if it's a data reference, if it's embedded data, we're going to manage all those different type of fields that we'll have on our application. Here, you can manage the field itself. For example, if you want to change it to integer, etc. Um, Here it will give you, like as explained before, since we have to reuse it, all the descendant classes that have existing instance will be impacting on the change of one field. And this is because these fields is being reused within all the case types. So we have to be careful all the time to work on that. For that reason, is better recommend to design all the data model before to start working on the case. Why? Because there you will have defined, for example, our data object customer, the ID, what type of input will be integer, it will be text, the customer name, it will be able to have different fields for first and last name, what type of will be, if it's text or character, all define that. It will help us a lot in order to reuse and have the correct data on the views without impacting production, without impacting on the delivery times that we have. So yeah, we're going to start designing the data object in the next video, and from that we're going to start creating it within Pega, right? We're going to work as we are working in the database SQL. We will have keys, we will have tables, we have keys, and we will relate it between them, right? For example, some of the data object will be catalogs that will have information uploaded. For example, country will be able to have that object with all the country information to show it in a drop down, for example. All that information will be managed here in the data model. So for that reason, it's very important that before working on the case study itself, we're going to start working in designing a good data model. I believe that we're going to use free application that is Drawio. Drawio, I believe that is the name. So in the next video, we will design and we will create the data object for our customer figure. So please subscribe, put the notification thing or whatever. And if you want to learn more about this, please follow this series about Pega Constellation. This is the last version of Pega available. And this video is for all the people that are starting in this journey and all the people that was in this journey but in different version. For example, CLM, that is completely different as we work on constellations in order to update with the new things that Pega has. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe.